Okay, that's an excellent example, something that kind of scared you. Any other ideas of a lowercase t trauma?
Just like a minor thing that kind of scared you, or?
It definitely. What do you think?
Maybe like a car crash, like a
Okay.
car crash where no one got hurt.
It could be, that could kind of trigger that. What about even being teased? Right? That could be a lowercase t trauma that could really trigger you to not feel good about your body, right? You're walking down the hall and somebody makes a crack about your body, and how many of us would like that? I mean, that wouldn't feel very good. So they are also finding that there is a genetic component to eating disorders. And so sometimes maybe that either capital T trauma or that lowercase t trauma could trigger something that you're genetically predisposed to. It's not something that you consciously choose. Today I'm going to have an eating disorder. Usually there's a genetic component. And then there's also, I mean, the social. So we have family relationships play a big role in this. There's a book called Father Hunger that they've shown a link between maybe neglectful fathers and eating disorders. They're trying to feed that void. Social media. What social and media influences? What are some examples of how that could affect the way you feel about your body? Yeah.
Somebody like kind of makes a joke about your body, or saying, oh, so and so looks so fat today, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely, that can affect you. What do you think?
The media, models in the magazines, you compare yourself to those people.
Yeah. That is an excellent, and I'm going to talk about airbrushing and all that good stuff in just a minute. Yeah.
Like when you want something and someone says like you look fat and that, and then you like don't want to wear it ever again.
And it affects you forever. Those comments affect you forever. Any other thoughts about that? So I read an article. This is not funny, but it's just interesting, about some celebrities that were depressed. These are like A-listers that were depressed because their pictures, their videos, everything has been retouched and airbrushed. Everything they've done. And so that when people see these stars in real life, they don't look like any of their pictures or any of their videos because everything's been retouched. And they've been getting comments from their fans saying things like, wow, you look so much better on TV, or wow, you've really let yourself go. And they haven't done anything different. It's just that their pictures are not realistic. They are all doctored up to the point where they're not even real human looking anymore. And so we're comparing ourselves to images that don't even exist. Like, these people don't even exist. Even the celebrities don't look like the pictures of the celebrities, right? Nothing is real. Nothing. And they have even gone as far as to do computer-generated bodies and then just put celebrities' heads on those bodies. It's not real. Like, none of it is real. And so to kind of have that understanding that everything is doctored, everything is airbrushed, and when we're looking at these images and feeling bad about our bodies, we can say, that's not real. That's a robot, you know? And to be like, I'm a real human being, and we all are different sizes and different shapes. So we'll talk more about genetics in just a sec. So look at this carefully, and tell me what you think. What do you think?
Well, that makes me think of like a rhino wants to be like a unicorn, like all thin and gleaming wide, and, you know, just all fit. And they're running on a treadmill and that, and then kind of compares it to someone that sees a model, and they think, oh, that's what I want to look like.
Okay, this is good, and I wanted to keep analyzing this because this has a lot of information in this one picture. Emma, you had your hand up?
It was just that the rhino is trying to be something that it can never be.
Okay.
It will never, it's not real. A rhinoceros is a real thing, but a unicorn isn't, so it's trying to be something that it isn't.
Excellent. Excellent. Do you see where I'm going with this? And what extremes is the rhino going through to become like a mythical creature?
Somehow turning on that treadmill, turning the treadmill on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Work.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I share something about this? This is really, I love this. I'm going to have to get this from you, but it reminds me of when I was in college. I've talked to them about how I've kind of struggled with my eating disorders and stuff, but when I was in college, I got a personal trainer, you know, because I wanted to lose weight, and my personal trainer, he told me, go find a picture in a magazine of like the ideal body that you want, and he said, hang it up on your wall, and it's kind of like this, look at it every day, and so it'll motivate you. And so I did that, and after a couple of days, I kind of realized this. I was like, first of all, she's way taller than me. I'm never going to be that tall. Second of all, her body type is way different than me, and it just reminded me of that. So anyway.
I am so glad that you shared that. And there have been a lot of, you know, we start, and sorry, I know I focus this more on women, even though men do struggle with this, but most of the statistics that are gathered are kind of pertaining more to women. But Barbie, you know, we start when we're little with these Barbie dolls, and Barbie, if she was a real person, she'd be like 9 feet tall, and her legs would be 6 feet of that 9 feet, and it's so unproportionate. Her waist would be 16 inches, and her legs would be twice as long as her arms. Her neck would be 6 inches long. I mean, like, totally not a real person and what a real person would look like. And so as little girls, we're playing with Barbies, and we're going, I want to look like this. It's not real. It's like the unicorn, and we strive after this, and we want to be like this. And these ideals just, they don't exist. And so to learn to accept our genetics, 25 to 75% of what we look like is going to be genetics, and there's nothing we can do about that. So a lot of it's like, do you know what? I'm going to be the happiest rhino on the planet. You know, like, I was born to be a rhino. I can do the coolest things. I can stomp all over that unicorn. You know, instead of being so sad that we're not the unicorn. You know what I'm saying? We're all different. I've got just one sister, and we are as, Emma can tell you that's her aunt, we are as different as night and day. We look completely different. Our body shapes and sizes are completely different, and it's just genetics, right? So learning to accept. Yeah, we're the same height, but that's about it. All right. Just another funny little thing. I like the picky-eatia. People with this disorder subsist only on hot dogs and cereal children's vitamins. Do you guys have any little siblings? These are not real. This is funny. Okay.
Less famous.
All right. I talked to you a little bit about what I do with music therapy. The secondary voice is what I call it, because I talk to them about how important it is to communicate that inner pain and anguish. And they have that alexithymia, so their therapist will say, how are you doing today? And they say, good. How many of you have done that before, ever? Like, you feel like crap, and you say, I'm good. I'm good, I feel good. Life is awesome. So it's important because you can use words to hide, right? You can use words to say, I'm fine, when you're really not. But music kind of brings up emotion that quick. Have you ever put on a song and you're in tears before you even know it? I mean, it just really brings up emotion and feelings and stuff like that. Music is so powerful. So I do a lot of things to help with that. I do a lot of drumming. I had a patient say once, I love to drum because when I drum, I can scream without screaming. So drums are awesome. I do a lot of trauma work with the drums. It's a really awesome way to connect with anger, or to connect with fear, or to express those feelings in a nonverbal way. I teach them how to write music, because again, any kind of using symbolism or metaphor, you are rerouting language through the right hemisphere of your brain, and you're bypassing that analytical language that gets stuck with alexithymia in the left hemisphere of your brain. So any of you, if you write music, or if you write poetry, or you draw, or you dance, or you drum, or you play musical instruments, or you do any of these things, these are a way to communicate with the right hemisphere of your brain. You can get around that alexithymia and get that stuff out before you explode or implode. So, yeah.
I've actually just finished writing a song a couple days ago.
Awesome. On what instrument? Piano, guitar, or just the melody?
Just the melody.
Like, so voice, lyrics, and stuff like that? So I'm so glad that you brought that up. What did it do for you to write that song?
It kind of calmed me down a little bit, because I was like, like someone was being like really, really mean to me, and it just made me feel terrible. So I got a tune in my head and I started writing it down.
That is awesome. That's exactly what music therapy is using music to cope and to self-soothe. I think Taylor Swift did that when she wrote the song about mean people. I think she was being bullied, truly, and that she was able to get a lot of that angst out. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so glad that you did. Hi,
Yeah, I think that whenever you express something by writing it down, what you're doing is you're taking those feelings, like pushing it away from yourself and putting it on a piece of paper, and you can look at the piece of paper and think that's where those feelings are. They're not with me.
Well said. Well said. That is exactly so. Even keeping a journal can do that. Like it can get it out of your head and down on the paper so it's detached a little bit. Awesome. I couldn't have said it any better. Good job. All right. Let's, if you struggle with this, and we saw statistics, a lot of people struggle. I struggled with an eating disorder when I was a teenager. It's a very common thing, and it's a very painful thing. So don't be ashamed of that. It's something that we're surrounded with in our society. Things to look for. If somebody that you know used to be really like these things, really outgoing and sensitive and those things, and all of a sudden they become kind of disinterested in things, kind of depressed, kind of stuff, those might be some warning signs that something's going on. Just something to look for. If you recognize this in yourself, if you used to be happy and fun, loving and outgoing, and all of a sudden you're noticing you're becoming disinterested in things, it's worth looking for. I love how your teacher talked about relying on your counselors. If you're experiencing some of this, that's what the counselors are there for. They have specialized training. They're there to listen. Sometimes you can't talk to your parents very well. It's kind of hard, right? But they're there if you have some of these feelings going on. It's really important to be kind of aware of that. Okay, so a lot of eating disorders stem from negative body image that come from these unrealistic ideals. So these are some ideas, and I have lots of information there on the back, so if you want to take some handouts afterwards, it has all this information in there. So good. Dr. Hawkins, who's a friend of mine at the center, wrote this. She said some steps to overcome negative body image. And body image is just the way you feel about your body. So, fight fatism, and that's to learn how to love and accept people of all shapes and all sizes, instead of just being attracted to a certain shape. To recognize what you see in them, what are their qualities, not what they look like, but are they a good listener, are they a good friend? Anything that you can to just kind of not have that prejudice, because our culture kind of has us be prejudiced against people of different sizes and different shapes. Marilyn Monroe was considered, do you guys know who Marilyn Monroe is? Or was? Yeah? Some of you do. She was like supposed to be the most beautiful woman in the world. This is Marilyn Monroe. Like the supermodel of all supermodels. Everyone wanted to be her. She was it. She was the it girl. What's so interesting is by today's standard, especially in the supermodel industry, she would be considered obese. So our ideals of what is beautiful have changed. This is interesting. In the U.S., we go to like really extreme things to be thin because we consider that to be beautiful. But did you know in China what they considered beautiful was small feet? So they would bind the girl's feet when they were first born, so that they would be the smaller the feet, the prettier the girl. In Malaysia, the longer the neck, the more beautiful you were. So they put plates on the necks to elongate the neck. So they have these like necks. In parts of Africa, the bigger your lips were, so they'd put these plates in your lips. So they'd literally have these, they look like duck bills in the lips, because that's what was considered beautiful. So it's cultural, what we consider beautiful. It's becoming more universal, what's the ideal of beautiful, just because of the internet and things like that. But it's still true that our culture will go to just as many extremes to be thin as their cultures go through to have big lips, right? And we think that's ridiculous, right? Do you think that's pretty ridiculous? Like the bigger your ear lobes are with the I know gauges and stuff, but like these earlobes are like, you know, and we look at that and say, why would they do that? Why would they do that to their bodies? But you know what? They're looking at our